the hours of rest that they lose because of that. Not a big
Right.
deal. But the question is Daniel Jones ready to play? You can't run the Wildcat with Saquon forever, as good as it looked. But for the Giants, you don't really know, is Danny going to play? And if he does, what do you have out there with him? Because that Packers defense is going to be tough and ready to go.
Right, I agree. And there's definitely an element to it where you can't bring in Davis Webb.
No.
And you really got to think about losing Tyrod too. I mean, that was a really stupid play on his part. Going for it all, I respect it. You got the fans out there shouting. They want you to, put your life on the line there. But at the end of the day, like you just can't do that when you have Danny out. And I've been hearing that his left leg, his left ankle is not too great, but we were able to see him go out there and sort of put in his. What really was he doing out there? He was just kind of standing in the slot position and just kind of hanging. But what the Wildcat happened there, it was pretty good. I liked what I saw out of that. But obviously, like you said, we're not going to be able to run that forever. That's a temporary thing. Also, there's some reports that they have Jake Fromm working out, I think, on Tuesday from one of Georgia's great quarterbacks, but not so good anymore. But yeah, there's a lot of questions to be raised, but I think for right now they're trying their best. Dable said to get DJ back into the mix and let him start that game. And what does that matchup look like for you? Do you think there's any shot that the Giants could potentially grab it? I mean,
I want to say yes, just because of the potential this team has shown. Yes, it's been against not so great teams thus far, but the Packers, they have Aaron Rodgers and they've shown flashes of being the same Packers, but it's very clear that team is not the same as they were when they're usually a 13-3 team. Can they still finish that way? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so personally. They can prove me wrong, but the Packers are beatable, and they've shown that. I think they played the Bears too, and Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears. That game against Tampa, I think Tampa Bay is we'll get to them in our later session, but right. I think they're also an overrated team now. So it's an interesting Packers team and also a very interesting Giants team in almost two opposite ways, where the Packers are not the superstar team they once were, and the Giants aren't necessarily that garbage tier team that they have been for the past 5 or 6 seasons. The real question, again, I have to go back to it, is Daniel Jones. Will he play? I think so. Yeah. A big issue for the Giants has been, I guess for the Giants and Daniel Jones as a whole, is he's not out there enough for his team, for his coach. He doesn't play enough snaps because he misses his neck injury last season, whether now it's the ankle. He misses a lot of games, a lot of snaps where you can't win, I would say, more than 1 or 2 games with a backup quarterback unless that guy is – I don't think there's a backup quarterback you can win those games with unless the defense carries you, which I don't think the defense is strong enough. But the question is, Tyrod Taylor is out for good. So you're either going to have to bring in one of those guys that you mentioned, a Jake Fromm or a Davis Webb, who are not – real options. That's. I
don't think either of them have started a game.
They've played a few snaps each from what I've seen.
Right,
at least in recent years,
yeah.
Right? And it's not pretty. It's
right.
not a good sight. So Daniel Jones is going to have to suit up, I think, and I think he will. I think he's going to be ready to. But
he's
I also
playing
think
for his job.
Exactly. He's not. He has everything, but also nothing to lose by playing. Yeah, he could get hurt again, but he has to get out there.
Right.
So I think that's the cool part. And also, again, I'm sure you'll see that kind of wildcat formation. Saquon's going to go for his. He's shown he's back. And I think that's really the upside for the Giants here. Well, Daniel Jones will play, maybe not to the best of his ability, but you'll get him involved in one way or another. Packers will probably take it, don't get me wrong, but I think it's anyone's game, especially there's no home team in London, in my opinion. It's a total different atmosphere. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, right. And the fact that Daniel Jones, might come play, he's going to be running most of the time. We saw him the other day, had 2 first half touchdowns running on the floor. And if you take a look at his receivers right now, it's just, there's nothing. It's shambles. Yeah. You got Richie James, David Sills, who drops the ball constantly. Yeah. And then you got Darius Slayton, who
Same thing with him.
Yeah. All these guys, you're not, there's nothing popping out. At least the Packers got, Lazard and Cobb still. And, the Giants really have nothing to play with. We're 3-1, but what does that say playing against some not so great teams? Also, just this whole Kenny Golladay nonsense too.
That's the big question
crazy
as well.
Yeah, so there's nothing that really looks hopeful in the future. I think after that Cowboys loss, a lot of people, the air was taken out of the stadium, and it was that color rush, that whole whiteout, that night game, where they had all these fans trying to get 3-0. We're gonna beat the Cowboys this year. We're gonna do it. And you just not a great game, and they just kind of fall short to a Cooper Rush led Dallas Cowboy team. For taking that's taken out of context a little bit. They got a great defense too, as they always do, and they are the giant killers. We are not the Cowboy killers, unfortunately.
Nope.
But like I said, the receiving core is just not there, and if Daniel Jones can play on a hobbly left ankle, what is that going to do for us? What is that even going to supply us with? He's a running quarterback at the moment. He can't, really throw.
Yeah, well, that's the the interesting part is he's going to run on a bad ankle. Can you throw on a bad ankle? It's a contrast where it's very difficult as a quarterback. Your left ankle, he throws right, so that's his front foot. It's going to be tough. Mm-hmm. But he also is a guy that goes. When he runs the ball, he runs. Yeah. He's not necessarily scared to take a hit. He's shown that in the past, and it's a good.
You got to be a
thing.
little scared to take a hit here
At this point, yes. And that's
unless
the
they
thing.
can, maybe get someone. But who is on that market?
No, I don't see any sort. Eli Manning.
Yeah,
I don't see any sort of other option. They might just have to. They'll try and compete in this game. I think they have. I loved what they did with the read options with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. That's how Danny got.
Break that down a little bit.
He rushed 6 carries, 68 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now again, the Bears defense nothing compared to the Packers defense,
right.
But when you have a weapon like Saquon Barkley who ran for 146 yards, he makes something out of nothing on several plays a game. And then you also have a quarterback where you could say, okay, never mind, I'm going to run as well. It's a very interesting, I've said this on shows, I said this last year, I said this 2 years ago as well. I think that aspect of their offense can be so much, it's gotten to the point where I think it's at its peak. It was at its peak in the Bears game, and I think it can stay there if they find some way to kind of keep it at that level. It's again easier said than done. It's a team that still trying to find their footing a bit, but they have the momentum and they have the right, I guess, plants that are the seed to the plant, if that makes any sense. With that said, obviously you can't run the ball all game. That won't work. I hate it and I love it at the same time. I loved when they signed Galladay because I thought it was the receiver.
Yeah.
He's
That's
not.
It's hindsight's 2020.
I don't know. I want to keep saying like he's the chance. He has to be the receiver. Is there still something? I think
it's kind of like the Kemba situation
right?
in New York.
So he had like 2 guys that had talent but couldn't necessarily make it click.
Yeah.
Now I know Galladay's had some games where he just hasn't gotten
right
time,
and
right?
But then you see games. I believe it was the Cowboys game where he just gets 2 easy drops.
Oh yeah, he's
and it's like, man,
twice.
what are you arguing for?
Yeah,
like what do you want at this point? If we're gonna give you the ball and you're just gonna drop it, obviously for starters, he might have been a little nervous or a little shocked nerves getting the ball.
It's not, you're a pro at this point. You signed a huge contract. Yeah, you've maybe lacked some of the targets you want, but okay, when you get your targets, then make the most out of it.
Exactly.
Same thing with Darius Slayton. Now, I know he's not a big money guy, but Daniel Jones used to love him. He was the guy when the Giants played that really bad season, but almost still had a chance to make the playoffs because the whole division was really bad.
Right.
Darius Slayton was the number 1 receiver on that team. I don't know where he went. He drops a lot of footballs now, and it's unfortunate. I almost forgot he was on the team because he doesn't get the run because he drops footballs. I remembered as soon as he dropped that ball, it was in the Bears game last week. I was like, oh, wait. Oh, that's why you don't play, right? Because, he might have gotten grabbed and the flag was called. Mm-hmm. 2 seconds later, you're wide open for the pass. Catch the ball.
Yeah.
When those plays happen for the Giants, they have to capitalize because they're not going to happen too often. And I think that's similar with the Packers this week. But Aaron Rodgers just a little bit more of a playmaker than an injured Daniel Jones is. So that's why I know they have some sort of hope, but I think if they kind of, first quarter, first half, if they're down big, I think then they kind of just throw the bag or throw the towel and let the game go, give Daniel Jones another week to rest, maybe at least another half to rest, and hope that he's ready for week 6.
I hate the thought of that, but just to close out this Giants segment, pretty cool little stat here. We do have something cooking up in that MetLife Stadium in the Big Blue. Saquon Barkley came into the season plus 2,000 to win the Comeback Player of the Year, which is pretty fair. It's modest. Yeah. Now he's up to plus 350.
It should be that's kind of minus cool. Something at this point already.
He's a firecracker. I love him. But we will shift right over now to the Jets, the Big Green, the men in the sky. So what we saw the other day was their second victory on the season. a mediocre Pittsburgh win is something to be proud about as a Jets fan, experiencing such a horrible, last few years. It was similar to the Giants. But I think what we saw out of Zach Wilson was pretty good. He marks the first ever quarterback to catch a receiving touchdown pass. So that's cool in Jets history. So that's kind of cool.
For the Jets, really.
For the Jets, yeah, first ever, honestly.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But, Braxton Berrios had as many touchdowns as him in that game, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, man.
But the way he played, I think he looked a lot more confident out there. Obviously, coming back, having one of those Joe Flacco wins under their belt where they just, absolutely just came back and grabbed 14 points in the matter of, I think, 2 minutes. And to be able to just make your season even 2-2, I think for Zach Wilson, that was a W, like a huge like morale booster, in my opinion.
The first game for a quarterback coming back, I think, is so undervalued. A win here,
right?
Like every sign for the Jets was so that when they were 1-1, it was, oh, we're 1-1 now. Wait until Zach Wilson gets back. Then you go 1-2. You're like, oh, wait. First game he comes back, they win. That's huge because it shows that, this was a sloppy win. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Pittsburgh's not a great team. They're nowhere what they were the past couple years. The defense is still there, but they're not a great team.
And they're working out the same thing that the Jets are doing on offense.
Yeah, a lot of issues. Quarterback. Who's the quarterback?
Exactly.
So when they're playing that game, Zach Wilson has a little more experience than the Kenny Pickett that they ran. The Mitch Trubisky was out there for a little bit, right? But so the Steelers announced Kenny Pickett's their guy now, but Zach Wilson, it is established that he is the guy for the Jets. So that's where it's a huge difference. The guys kind of can follow him for the Jets, and I think they were ready. The anticipation behind Zach Wilson's comeback in Week 4 was very high.
Yeah, I think they're fired up.
It paid off. 252 yards, 2 picks, not pretty. Threw for a touchdown and caught a touchdown. So interesting experiments ran. I think Robert Saleh's kind of getting more of a grasp of this team and what he has to work with.
Right.
The Breece Hall, Michael Carter combination as running backs. I think it's more Breece Hall now, the rookie, which is
kind of shocking.
Not, it's shocking, but it's not because you drafted the guy, I think, to be the one. Michael Carter's great, I think, but he's not as good as Breece Hall will be, which is, why young team, you want to get the guys carries.
Well said.
So it's an interesting approach that the Jets are able to take here, and I think, 2-2, they kind of, I guess the rest of their schedule is not easy. They got Miami next week, but no Tua. So that could help them. Division games, you never know what's going to happen, obviously. Right. You see that week in and week out. But it's just a good sign for the Jets that they, the run defense is always solid. I say it every time I talk about the Jets. Their run defense is great. You don't run on the Jets, and it's something that a lot of teams don't really learn. Najee Harris, he had 74 yards, but it didn't really amass to much for them. A 20-point total score for the Steelers. I think you're happy more often than not if you hold a team to around 17. Maybe, obviously less than 20 would be nice, but around 20 points I think is a nice, that's where we want to keep teams there or under. So the Jets did a pretty solid job on defense, and their offense just did enough where they take a win. Every win doesn't have to be pretty, doesn't have to be great. I think with this Jets team, you're not going to see a lot of pretty wins. But again, 2-2 for the Jets. If you ask a lot of Jets fans, maybe some crazy ones would say they'd see them at 2-2. But 2-2 for the New York Jets. Pretty solid
too, and the fact that they just have like a cast of characters that you could really just like recognize. They got Tyler Conklin, Corey Davis, and then of course the Wilson connection. That's something
that could be something really good for the future,
right? And there's definitely something to be looked at in Elijah Moore as one of those guys. He really can just speed up the game and just move at his own pace. I saw that in the last quarter, where Wilson was just connecting with him, and then Garrett, and then it's just they look good on that last drive and the one prior to it, and I think if they just keep it up, trust the process. We saw what happened to Philly. Obviously, that wasn't great, but it's like if you trust this process and you can get a lot of these big name guys, and what was it? Did they have 2 or 3 first round picks this year?
Oh,
the Jets.
Not my specialty with the draft back then, but I want to say it was 2.
It was definitely more than.
It was Breece and Sauce were their first guys.
Right.
I can't.
And Garrett.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. So that's at least 3.
So
I think
3 right there.
4.
And it's one very good corner, which is something they needed.
Right. Exactly.
And then 2 guys on offense who are instant boosts to it. Oh my God, the offense last year and the years past,
stagnant.
they had nothing.
Yeah.
I almost felt bad. I still feel bad.
Yeah, you still feel bad, but honestly, like that game, it gives you a sliver of hope.
Yeah.
And also, taking for granted, we're gonna see this Mike Tomlin team finally go under 500.
Yeah, I think so.
Unfortunately, I mean, he's such a great coach, but the success he's endured in the past few years, come on, man.
It happens.
Yeah, you know.
You had a great success.
And maybe this whole Kenny Pickett situation will work.
I think it could.
It definitely could.
I think it could.
I mean, you know, they got a lot of pieces, but that might just wrap it up for our little New York football segment. I think that MetLife Stadium is sort of in good hands for the.
So far, so good.
Yeah, so far so good. A lot better than we thought it would be. 3-1, 2-2, some cheeky wins. I like it.
Not much to complain about.
Not bad, not bad. But yeah, after this little break, I think we'll be heading right into the NFL overview, and more specifically, we'll get into Tua. I think they covered that a little bit Saturday, but we'll give our thoughts on it, and then we'll also get into Brady Bucks, which is, you know, something that kind of, you know, happened in the last day and a half.
Yeah.
So definitely something interesting going on down in Tampa Bay, but they still, you know, have a chance to win that
Gotta figure
NFC.
something
that
out.
NFC is always wide open.
Yeah.
So, yes.
What's up, guys? I'm Julia Moss,
And I'm Will Talent.
and we're two of your hosts for one of WFUV's football podcasts, NFL Friday.
Tune in every Friday for all news and updates around the National Football League.
Also, we'll be making our picks of the week around the league on every episode. Check out NFL Friday wherever you get your podcasts to catch the action.
Welcome back to One-on-One Nightly, our first time back in a while. We're so happy you came to join us here with Nick Fada and Taylor Macetta. So let's jump right into this. We got Tua Tagovailoa, who is not going to be playing against the Jets this weekend due to a concussion that he suffered in the game last Thursday against who was that against? Who?
It was on. Oh, I'm drawing a blank now.
I'm drawing
Hang
a
on.
blank too.
Who would they play? The Bengals.
The Bengals, right?
Yeah.
And then what a game it was in terms of color. We saw some great white uniforms with that white helmet, and those also the striped end zones, which was, I don't know,
Very
pretty
cool scheme.
fascinating. I like when teams switch it up like that. And also, did you see the Skins? They had those black jerseys the other day.
No.
On Sunday. Those were clean jerseys, but
Huh.
they decided to wear them at 1 p.m. where nobody was
No
watching
one's
that
watching.
game. Unfortunate, but back to Tua. It's really one of the only times in my life where I've been watching a game, and I considered this guy, you know, maybe to be completely paralyzed. I mean, I've seen the Joe Theismann clip with Lawrence Taylor, but
Yeah.
it's like this is real life. Like, this was actually one of the most chilling things I've ever seen.
No, that was really bad and very dangerous. You know, obviously I'm no doctor. I don't know what his future is. I've heard a lot of speculation that he should call it a career. I've heard a lot of speculation. You know, there's maybe not as much speculation, but a lot of people saying that Tua's been put through too much physically at such a young age where he needs the time off. I think there's no question he's out for some time. I doubt a competitor like him is going to retire. I hope that's not what has to happen, depending on, you know, all the readings from his scans or whatever may happen, you know, health-wise. But I guess if we're going to talk football for the Dolphins, they're not in horrible shape with a backup quarterback at least. Teddy Bridgewater, guy had something with Minnesota. Obviously, he's not the same guy he was in those few years back with the Vikings, but he stepped up in his time. 193 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. It's tough game against the team like the Bengals, who, again, they start out 0-2. They had to prove that they're still, kind of there as the reigning AFC champs, and it was a big win for them. But when something like that happens to what happens to Tua, it's not just it takes the kind of fire out of the game, but your number one concern almost shifts from the game to your guy, your quarterback. No one wants to see that happen. I'm sure the Bengals were probably shook up for a minute too. Mm-hmm. Everyone watching certainly was. So it's interesting, I guess, to see the future of this Dolphins team. Will Tua come back? Will he be forced to be out the whole season? Will he be forced much worse than that? Hopefully no. All the best to Tua Tagovailoa. But I think Teddy Bridgewater can kind of run the ship for a bit, but not to the expectation that the Dolphins had for this season.
Yeah, he's coming into a whole new, system and a new team. And what Joe Burrow was saying earlier today was that, he went up to him and he just said, it's your key. Like this is your car now. So go ahead and do it. And they had something going that was. So, I mean, did you think that a lot of people would have thought that the Dolphins were going to be as good as they were?
It's weird because there was so much expectation on them from a few, I guess, reporters or guys that are, really following the game. And I never loved the Dolphins as like a favorite to win it all. I don't think that's
and I don't
as
think really
far as what people were going.
Yeah.
But a playoff team is I think I don't know about it anymore, but it was a very valid goal for them to reach. Probably not winning the AFC East, that goes to the Bills, but a wild card spot was very realistic for these guys who are now 3-1. They still have a chance to go 4-1. They're playing the Jets. You never know what team is going to show up with the Jets, like we just talked about. I don't necessarily know if it's possible anymore, but I believe now, after watching them these past few games, they do have a team there that can compete. Whether they can compete now for a playoff spot with Teddy Bridgewater driving the car, like you said, that's a different question.
Right, and, there's a lot of stuff to tell here, but the fact that you got Tyreek and then Waddle on the same team, it's something. It really proves something to you. Also, Chase Edmonds himself, the Fordham grad.
Yeah,
baby.
Can't forget him.
He's really working himself. Like, he had 2 touchdowns, I think, last week against the Bills, and he's making a difference in a team that you would have thought that would just throw. I mean, they do throw, but, they can use that driving running back.
Caught a
in
touchdown
Edmonds.
Last game, actually.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, right.
So didn't run for much, actually, which is kind of funny you mentioned. But no, he has been very solid for them so far. A very solid career.
Right.
You gotta give the Fordham guys some love. But Raheem Mostert has bounced back for them.
Yeah.
Who's you have 2 guys there. I'm very love-hate with split backfields in the NFL as far as splitting time, I guess. Because even my prime example of this is Detroit, where you have a guy like DeAndre Swift and then Jamal Williams are 2 really, really good running backs, but it's hard to figure out when to use each one and for how much time.
Right.
So I think, if you can do that really well, which I think so far the Dolphins have, it works out. So that's still an upside for them. That's something that you can work on if you're Miami.
Right. That's very interesting. You also, the fact that, you bring up the dual running back thing. I think that the Cowboys really just nailed it.
Yeah.
Like what they had before in Zeke, one of these guys coming out of Ohio State, that's their guy. They throw him in. He takes those big hits for a few years. Tony Pollard comes on, all finesse, and now he's starting to take some of his snaps.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I just find that whole thing fascinating with the dual running back. But anyway, let's get back on topic with our NFL preview again, or NFL overview, excuse me. So next story we got here, Tom Brady. Tom Brady and, his ex-wife now, I believe, Giselle, are filing for divorce, and it's just a interesting situation. You got somebody going to retire at the end of last year, and then coming back, and you don't really know what to make of it because his team really is not that good. He doesn't have much of a supporting cast, but also at the same time, the NFC East is wide open. When you have a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo leading maybe the best team in that entire conference, you could say, honey, like I need to stay here. Like I'm playing. I can grab myself a ring this year. What are we talking about?
I was actually talking with a buddy of mine today about he said he's taking the Bucs all the way.
Interesting. I mean, if there's going to be a time, it's now. I mean, the NFC is just not
You know,
good.
that's the thing. I say, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Got the Eagles.
Okay, maybe to come out of the NFC.
Right.
I think as much as I don't want to say it, the Eagles are up there. You can never forget about the Rams. You can never,
Yeah.
I guess, count out.
Fair.
You know, I like San Francisco, but what you said about Jimmy G is true. There's a couple of teams up there. I mean, that's the scary thing is, Brady, he finally had a game last week. It was a loss against, or I guess on Sunday Night Football, a loss against Kansas City, 41-31. But he had a game where he was Tom Brady again, 385 yards, 3 touchdowns. His first few games, the first 3 games he played, he didn't really explode in the way you see Tom Brady go. And we mentioned, his team isn't the same. It's got a lot of the same core guys like Fournette, Godwin, Mike Evans, who will definitely be weapons for him.
Right.
There's no secret there. But the team is not the same from when you win a Super Bowl. It's hard to repeat, or it's hard to lose one year and then come back and win, or win, lose, come back again. That's why the Chiefs haven't won again since then. They've always been good, but it's hard to get back to that top. So, I don't know. I don't necessarily love the Bucs winning it. I told my friend that was a crazy pick. But you never know. Like you said, it is Tom Brady. Maybe, I don't want to really get into any sort of divorce politics here, but maybe, now that his sole focus can be football and not as much on the tough parts of his family life, the Bucs could be back. I mean, they're 2-2 in a really, really bad division. Mm-hmm. The Saints, the Panthers, and the Falcons are not doing anything. They're not.
It's too easy.
I think there are a bunch of 1-3 teams in there. I might be wrong.
The Falcons might be 2-2.
Falcons, if they're 2-2,
That's
hats
an
off to
easy
them.
2-2, yeah.
Marcus Mariota, good for you, man. Way to come back. But I don't think there's anything to worry about for Tampa as far as securing a playoff spot.
Exactly.
And if Tom Brady's in the playoffs, again, you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So I think Tampa still has a chance. There's still some life. Maybe Brady kind of brings that play back. But I've said it so many times. The dude's 45 years old. Father Time's been knocking on his door for about 8 years now. It's just a matter of when the door finally falls down. I don't know if it's this year. I don't. From that last game, it didn't seem like it. But there's also teams around, I think, that can take them down, specifically in the AFC. But we'll see as the season progresses if Tom Brady and the Bucs can kind of keep that going.
Right. And, yeah, I mean, just the fact that their division is so weak, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then you look at the NFC East this year. Obviously, the Giants are kind of a fake 3-1 if you want to, You got the Cowboys who are 2-2 and don't have their franchise quarterback, and you got the Eagles who a lot of people are making a case that they're the best team in the league.
I would hate to say it, but you could say that.
You
as of now, I think
can
you
say
have
that.
to. I think you have to as of now.
Right.
4-0, they have the most yards from scrimmage every single week. I think it's over 400 yards from scrimmage in every single game. The defense is phenomenal. The O-line is phenomenal.
Right.
And Jalen Hurts is I used to say, he's not really. He can't throw. But he's figuring out how to throw.
He's getting there.
He's got more weapons, and he's always been able to run. So it's a very scary thing. I always hate saying it because I just despise the Eagles, but you can't deny it. When they're really good, I think they're going to beat every team in the NFC East twice. I think they're going to sweep the division. I don't see, they might lose a few games here and there from someone slacking.
The only game
but
they could lose to is maybe the Packers,
see,
and
I
then
don't-
maybe the Titans.
I don't think
Dude, they
they're
can
beating
win
the
out.
Titans. It's hard to do in the NFL, absolutely.
It's very hard.
Maybe someone steals one in the NFC East, who knows, but that team is really, really good.
Good. And let's bring this back and wrap up the Tom Brady talk. You bring up the fact that earlier in the season, the first 3 weeks, it wasn't really doing much, but then he pops off, has a great game. I think that's all part of the plan.
Maybe.
This guy,
Similar to the
40
Rodgers plan, where he's slow to
Right.
start and then say, okay, here we go.
45 years, and also the dude, you got to look at him. He's in the preseason, I saw a few clips. It was unbelievable. This dude doesn't get touched.
No, yeah.
He's
And
not
if he
taking-
does, he's right down.
And he's not taking the abuse that Matt Ryan is on the Colts right now.
Yeah.
Have you seen him just get thrown
Oh, yeah.
around like a
Poor Matt
rag
Ryan,
doll?
man. Poor Matt Ryan.
It's unbelievable. But Brady is so smart, and he's so good at football that he just evades that, and he'll just drop down.
No,
and he'll
yeah.
run out of
if
bounds.
he's going to get hit,
and
he's down.
he has a good relationship with that O-line too. But anyway, that might just wrap up our little NFL overview for today. We're gonna go take another quick break, but we are gladly joined by Taylor Macetta with a headline concerning college football, Oklahoma, Kansas, Georgia, top 25, all that. So stay tuned, stick around, and we'll see you in a few.
Hey everyone, Andrew Galata here, WFUV's play-by-play voice for Fordham Rams football. The Rams are exciting as ever this season, riddled with all Patriot League talent and FCS superstars like quarterback Tim DeMorat, wide receiver Fotis Koko-Soulis, and linebacker Ryan Greenhagen. Follow Fordham's quest for a Patriot League title all season long on WFUV Sports. You can listen to the Rams every Saturday on 90.7 FM and WFUV Sports Spreaker page. WFUV Sports, the flagship station for Fordham Athletics.
Welcome back to 101 Nightly. I'm Taylor Masetta, and I'm here with Will Grant and Nick Fada, and I just wanted to start talking about a little college football headlines from this weekend. So to start off, we got a ton of shakeups in the AP Top 25. So Bama has moved to the number 1 spot after beating Arkansas, but you can also kind of blame that for Georgia nearly losing to Mizzou, which I was off my phone for maybe 10 minutes, and I go and I check Twitter, and seeing Mizzou was leading Georgia at the half, I was like, what's going on? So now they're number 2. Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson fall in at free 4 and 5. 10 ranked teams lost this weekend, 5 to unranked opponents. But I think one of the biggest stories here is Kansas is ranked, and I am so excited for them. It's their first time since 2009, which is the longest drought for a team currently in the Power 5 conference. And they got College Game Day going to their game against TCU, I think, next weekend. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. I mean, Kansas, baby. They haven't lost a game in the basketball sector and the football sector since March 1st.
They're 5-0. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Who would have ever thought? But, I'm not too big of a college football guy, but, it's always good to hear that those teams that have fun colors just are doing well. Like, I love Kansas. I love what they're about. And, the fact that they can, make something for themselves outside of basketball and then win the championship in the same year is just something kind of cool.
I'm kind of waiting one day I just keep looking at the top 5. I'm waiting one day for there to be some sort of surprise. Like
yeah.
I know it's getting later in the season now. Like the first couple weeks is when you're going to see those surprises. I remember Oregon was up there. It might have been 2 years ago, and they eventually fell out, and I was like, what's Oregon doing there? So that happened, but I don't necessarily think Oregon is like a surprise team to be up there this year. They're at 12 this week. I mean, and it's even the whole top 25. Like it's the same teams, and it always
the same teams.
It's a cool thing that these programs can stay so dominant for so long. You have to respect it with Bama and Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
That top 5 is crazy. They always are so good, season in, season out. I always just look around, even like. I have to laugh at Syracuse being in the top 20. They're number 22.
That made me happy.
Right?
I'm a Syracuse girl.
It's funny because you don't see that often either.
Yeah.
Basketball, sure, but when kind of schools that aren't known for football are sneaking their way in and maybe sticking around for more than just a week, I think that's the really fun part of college football.
Yeah, I feel like for college football, even though Bama always seems to be in the playoff every year, I feel like it's just very unpredictable. And I think one of the games I kind of have to touch on, TCU taking down Oklahoma, 55-24, and I know Oklahoma's in a bit of a transitional year with Lincoln Riley leaving for USC. But I don't think anyone saw this takedown really coming. I think Oklahoma really needs to beat Texas this weekend to iron things out because they are just not looking good right now at all.
Well, I think almost as far as an upset goes, sure, maybe a last-second kick or a final drive to win the game. But 55-24, that's an obliteration.
Yeah, completely.
I don't even consider it an upset. That's an obliteration.
Mm-hmm.
You don't deserve the title of upset if you're going to get beat that bad.
Yeah.
So it's funny to me, and I think that goes with any sport, any sort of underdog beating a team that badly. It shows there is really something there. TCU is 17 right now, and they're 4-0. So, maybe they got something working there too, right?
No, it's the battle of the unbeatens next week. It's them versus Kansas. So
Oh, boy.
One's going down, which
And
is sad.
But the cool part is maybe, it's 17-19. Is it possible?
Maybe they tie and then they both.
and they just stay.
Okay.
But is it possible one of them jumps up? Maybe one of those, the top 16 teams, someone just completely falls asleep behind the wheel and loses a game that they're not supposed to lose. I don't know if there's any matchups that are specifically, like an eye-opener, like you said, with that one. Where maybe a top team is playing another team that's 25, but not exactly that same sort of powerhouse, or an upset could happen. But I think really, one of my favorite things with college athletics as a whole is the upset. So the TCU one,
I
the
love
best.
Yeah.
upsets.
It's the
I
best.
love
the TCU
upsets.
one is an upset, but not
Yeah.
my version of an upset where they win in a last drive style, last second style, I guess in terms of basketball. But those are the things that make college sports to me.
Well, we almost saw one of the biggest upsets with Mizzou. I still am just trying to wrap my head around. Looking at halftime, they were leading Georgia 16-6, and Georgia, they looked human.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they looked human. They need to look a little more efficient past the 50-yard line. Luckily, they were able to put things together in the fourth quarter. But if you're struggling to beat Mizzou, what's gonna happen later in the season when you're going once they reach Bama? What's going to happen there?
I mean, it's just going to be a murder, I guess.
That's I wonder as well because it's early enough where you don't have to worry, but also it was one half. I don't have the final score off top on my screen.
26-22.
26-22.
Yeah.
So that was close.
It was close.
It wasn't necessarily. They only let up 6 points in the next half, which was big. I think that's a bounce back. But again, the offense there for Georgia is supposed to kick their butts.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a secret.
They should not be trailing Missouri.
But
They
it
should
also,
not.
as much as we say these powerhouse teams are powerhouse teams for the reason where they smack everyone around that they play, maybe sometimes you're just not there. It's funny that I always think that now when we were younger, I used to say, oh, they're college athletes. They're about to go pro, which they are, of course, but they're also our age too. I mean, they're gonna make mistakes.
None of us have no idea what we're doing.
They're gonna make mistakes on the field, just like we may with what we're doing right here. It happens, but I don't think that's something to worry. Yes, you got to worry a little bit, but it's Georgia. They're gonna bounce back.
Yeah.
There's nothing hiding that.
And there was one more thing that I wanted to mention with Bama. Bryce Young going down in the game against Arkansas. He landed really badly on his throwing arm.
Ooh.
He was diagnosed with an AC sprain, so it's manageable, but it's going to be painful. So we're going to have to see if he can bounce back relatively quickly, because without him, Bama looks a lot more vulnerable, which might be good for Georgia to capitalize on. But seeing Bryce Young go down is very disappointing, because I do like him. I'm not a big Bama person, but I do like Bryce Young.
And who's Bama playing this Saturday?
Let me double check
sorry.
that. But yeah,
Whoever
so
it
we'll
is,
see.
there's always that opportunity.
There's
for
the
them to
upset
kill them.
chance.
Yeah, I know. And that's what I wanted to get into real quick
Ooh.
here to wrap up sort of our college football talk. I see right now, number 4, we have Michigan. Number 3, we have
Yeah.
Ohio State. Number 2, we have Georgia. And Bama just moved up to the 1, previously number 2. So my question is this ever going to stop?
No,
No?
It's always
Okay.
these 4.
All right.
that's
I
what
mean,
I
I'm,
said.
'Cause
I'm never complaining about Michigan being in the top 4.
And
No,
don't
that's
forget
cool.
Clemson
Michigan's
up there
cool.
a lot.
Oh,
And
yeah,
Clemson's
Clemson's
right.
And Clemson's
I don't think the
5.
top 5 alters too much. You
No.
got some teams knocking on the door, but
Yeah.
they're never allowed in.
Right.
Well, I figured out they're playing. This is going to be interesting. They're playing Texas A&M. They were upset by them last year. So Bama's coming in with a vengeance.
And
to try
they're
win this
unranked,
one.
I believe, at the moment.
Oh, yeah. They're 3-2.
Uh-oh.
So
Could be
we'll
fun.
have to see.
Could be fun.
Could be loads of fun. You know what also would be fun? That nice golden Heisman Trophy given to Tim DeMorat, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Jeez.
Bring it right here.
That'd be great. Yeah, so Tim DeMorat, just closing off college football real quick. I mean, he's too good to not be talking about him. What are we doing here?
Gotta love him, man.
He's led Fordham to 4 victories this season, 1 loss, but that loss comes to Ohio, who's, I believe, an FBS team.
I want to say so.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
I
My
mean,
knowledge
still, it's really
serves,
impressive. And they battled late. They were up about 11 in the third quarter, and they just kind of lost that lead. But still, our team right now, whew, We're something else.
Let's go Rams, baby.
Go
Let's go
Florida
Rams.
football.
And I think that'll just about do it with our college football section of the program tonight. We're gonna hop right into the NBA and sort of give a little preview. I love the NBA so much, and this 8 minutes is gonna be my favorite part of the show. But no, I'm just kidding. We got the Knicks. Did you get to see the game last night or any of the scores?
I saw the scores. It was
Yeah.
a good win, but I'm not.
There's
preseason
nothing-
to me
exactly.
doesn't mean
There's
too
nothing you
much.
can really
as much
tell.
as I would love for it to. The guys played. They showed out. RJ, I think, had 18. If I saw
I think 22
18
or
or
so.
22.
Yeah, something.
He
But
shot the
they-
ball well.
Yeah, he played
8
well.
for 14. I remember seeing that stat
Right.
just on Instagram. But it was, I think the real keys here for the Knicks this season, I think, because obviously we're keeping it a little short until the season actually comes. You got to hope they can squeak into a play-in or hopefully playoff spot. I think that's it. The East is really, really good. There's no secret to that. And then I think, honestly, more so than that, RJ Barrett, a tough but realistic goal, become an all-star, man. Get there. Make the jump. It's possible.
If Julius could do it 2 years ago, I mean, dude, why not?
And also, I think Julius might have to kind of still take the back seat. I've been saying that, become that playmaker that, Jalen Brunson necessarily is not playmaking guard. He's kind of a scorer.
You could argue.
He averages 4.7 assists per game or something like that. So I'm not saying he can't distribute, but he's not, a number one guy you want as the playmaker for your team. I think Randall's offensive prowess is not what it was 2 years ago. The way he just kind of can take over a game with an ISO, it's just not there.
So he's taking a bit more of a distributing.
I would
role
like
over
to see it because he's a high IQ player at this point. I think he's entering his 9th year, which is crazy to believe.
Unbelievable.
But he knows he's as the leader of the team. Go for that. Derrick Rose said the same thing. I got to be more vocal. That's what I'm working on now. So these two guys, I think, can obviously really still produce, but also be those leaders that you need, the distributors you need. Because with Brunson and RJ, you have guys that can put the ball in the basket. More so, I hope, RJ Barrett than Jalen Brunson. But there's a lot of questions that can be open there for the Knicks. But those are my hopes. Get in the play-in. Maybe even the playoffs, RJ Barrett make an all-star team. Those are the hopes.
That play-in is just unbelievable.
Because you get to the play-in, anything can happen.
anything could happen.
Especially if it's at MSG. Especially if it's there.
Yeah, I agree. And just a few takeaways from the game. I think Obi's going to have a real big presence.
That's
this year.
another thing.
I
He
think
needs to
that
take a step up.
him and IQ could seriously. They could run the show. They can run the show, not yet, but maybe in the next few years.
I want them still as my bench unit together, though. I want those two checking in and out.
That's fair.
Together.
That's fair. But in the ensuing years, I mean, who knows? They might move into good spots.
Yeah,
but did you also get to see this guy Isaiah Hartenstein?
So I always remembered him kind of just being a bench warmer for the Rockets in the late Harden days, right before he left. I know he's somewhat of a shot blocker, but I don't know. What are you about to tell me?
I mean, round 2, pick 43 in 2017 by Houston. You're right.
Yeah.
14 rebounds, 8 points.
Okay.
27 minutes. I mean, it's cool. It's great. I mean, you like to see that.
I think he takes the Nerlens Noel / Taj Gibson role.
Right,
for
and that's
for the
what,
Knicks
when
this year.
we had that try center rotation thing. I think it worked really well because we'd stack up a lot of fouls in the beginning on Mitch, and then eventually it would just rub off on Taj. He'd have no other choice too.
Yeah.
And so I think that if we can get a solid big and have him established, Nerlens Noel is out of the Knicks program, right?
Yeah, no, he's gone.
He's gone. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's something to look forward to,
And
especially just preseason's just sort of something I thought to myself.
If you have him there, I think it's almost a battle of who kind of steps up. They're two young guys. Jericho Sims is younger, of course,
Right.
but two guys that have not proved themselves yet because they haven't really given much of the opportunity to. So it could be interesting to see who vows for that backup role. Also, again, I'm going to knock on wood with this one. Another big thing is if Mitchell Robinson, if he can play 32 to 35 minutes a game, that's big for the Knicks. The only reason he could play that way is if he doesn't foul.
Right,
He
exactly.
fouls out a lot. He gets 5 fouls a lot.
He gets injured too. I mean,
Yeah, so it's going to be tough to navigate there, but that's why you pick up a guy like that. Yes, he's your backup, but also maybe with the right amount of chance, he gives you something. I'm not too high on that. Don't get me wrong, but hopefully he's just a value guy off the bench.
Right, and I have a little bit too high expectations here. I'm a little excited. Just basketball's
You gotta
back,
be.
and that's it.
You
I
gotta
mean,
be.
I'm getting in the spirit.
What are we, 2 weeks away? 3 weeks maybe?
I think about a
Opening
week
night
and a half,
is-
2 weeks.
I think it's Golden
I think
State.
the 19th
Is it Golden State and the Lakers is opening night?
could be.
I think it is. If I want to say that's it, but and then that matchup too. Good job NBA. Way to make your money.
They're
that's-
seriously doing their thing.
That's how you schedule an opening night for
Yeah.
sure. Or maybe that was it last year, or maybe they're doing it again. I don't know. But either way, the opening night matchup should be a good one. I think any way, shape, or form they kind of put out 2 competitive teams with at least an all-star or 2 out there.
Right.
Who's a bigger star than LeBron and Steph?
Nobody.
No one.
I mean, obviously LeBron's declining, but obviously at the end of the day, those 2 are the faces. And I think that another face of the league is coming up. Zion Williamson, bro?
I hope.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I hope, but I also kind of resent it as a Knicks fan because then you see.
Yes.
You know. But if again,
I
do
agree.
whatever you want this year, Zion. If RJ is an all-star and the Knicks make the playoffs,
Yeah.
that's what I care about.
Right.
Kind of more so than ever. I think Zion can be great. That preseason game, he made a joke about he can't show you everything as far as he didn't do, But also, in my opinion, what's really scary with a guy like Zion, and I guess the Pelicans as a whole, you have 3 or 4 guys on that team: C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram, Zion. I
Herb
love
Jones.
Herb Jones is their defense.
Yes,
guy. That's it.
No,
and,
he's
and
the glue guy.
frankly,
Yeah.
you don't need him to do much else if Zion's healthy.
Exactly.
But then I was going to say, even Jonas Valanciunas is just an impossible force in the paint.
Right.
You got him and Zion as a front court. That's scary. But also, then you have guys like Zion can create as well his own shot, but for his teammates. And he doesn't necessarily have to dribble the ball to score. Let him run in transition. Give him the ball on the post.
And
put it
that's-
one up,
And you got those little guards. You got Alvarado.
Yeah.
And you got Devontae Graham,
Yeah.
who are just, I mean, they're not going out there and dropping 35 a night, but they could drop some dimes. They can dish. They have
Quick
good
guys
IQ.
that'll
They're
be
quick.
smart.
They could get
Yep.
steals. That's the type of stuff they need around Zion Williamson. I mean, they don't need another Zion Williamson next to Zion Williamson.
And a guy like C.J. McCollum, who's frankly just the
Exactly.
leader vet, and he still will give you 30 anytime he wants.
And I think that they needed that vet presence. I mean, they have Brandon Ingram, who's getting there.
he's their, well, it's hard to say that he's not.
He's not a vet.
No, he's not a vet.
No.
He's their star, but
Right.
also Zion's there with him if he's healthy.
Yeah.
That's
And
always the question that I hate that everyone's gonna have to ask about Zion Williamson. Is he healthy? Hopefully, he kind of breaks that stigma as he. I think this is year 4 for him. Yeah, it's year 4 for Zion technically, but he's missed a lot of time. A lot of time.
Yeah, it's like year 2, basically.
It's really year 2. His real rookie year was his second year in the league to me, and he was
Right.
dominant. 27 points a game, I think.
It was unbelievable and untalked about.
So,
it was
yeah.
not given as much attention as it should have been. When I'd watch him, there's some guys where I'd just throw on the game and I'd just be like, I'm here for him.
Yeah.
I'm here for this guy. I'm here for Luka. I'm here for Giannis.
Yep.
I'm here for Zion.
That's why it's great, actually, for the league that he went to New Orleans and now
Right.
they have something there.
They're
because
building something.
Not only are they showed they're a playoff team, and now with Zion back, they're only going to get better. That's no secret. So they have a team now that can compete, but also with a really, really big name for the NBA for the next 10 to 15 years to come.
Yep. I mean, we'll see. But, I think that'll just about wrap it up for the NBA preview. Love talking NBA with you, Nick.
Yeah,
Always
man.
a good time. We're going to go take a little break, and then we'll be back. Taylor's going to come join us. We're going to talk a little MLB. And if you didn't hear, on everybody in the world's Instagram story last night, Aaron Judge hit a 60-second home run, becoming the leader in AL home runs in a season. So stick with us. We'll be back soon to talk some baseball.
What's going on, everyone? This is Danny Scott, your New York Jets beat reporter. Join me all season long for updates, features, and analysis as the Jets' young core looks to take flight. Follow me on Twitter, dscott_33, or check out our WFUV Sports YouTube page for all things Jets.
So I just start up and then just hand it off to her after 12 seconds? Okay. Yeah, okay. Got it. Welcome back, everybody. Still joined here with Nick Fada and Taylor Macetta, but for now, Taylor's going to update us on what happened today in the world of sports within New York. So, Taylor, take us away.
Yeah, so the Mets
The
are
one-on-one
looking hot
scoreboard.
against the disappointment of losing the NL East. They just took down the Nationals 9-2. Jeff McNeil won the National League batting title with the highest batting average in their league. The Mets head back to the mound this Friday for a wild card game against the Padres at Citi Field. Meanwhile, the Yankees did close out the regular season on a bit of a sour note. They just fell to the Texas Rangers 4-2. So they'll finish oh so close to 100 wins, finishing out the regular season with a 99-63 record. They'll get a bit of a break before opening the AL Division Series at home next Tuesday against the Guardians or the Rays. And that's my update for today's baseball scores.
Taylor, can't thank you enough. That was awesome. And since you're here with us, let's jump right into these headlines. Got the MLB, like I said before, Aaron Judge, 62. What do you got?
Well, I literally just have one thing today to say, and it's 62. When I tell you, I was so excited last night. I got a text from our audio producer, Brian Raybacks. Could always count on him for when I know when the home run is hit. So when I saw 62 light up on my phone, I was like, yes. So yeah, Aaron Judge just breaks Roger Maris's AL East record for the most home runs during the regular season. And guys, I was getting nervous for a second that he wasn't going to hit it because the amount of teams that were throwing him balls and like walking him, yeah, don't even get me started on that. It's just...
Yeah, I kept talking with my dad about it where we were like, I think he's going to hit when he was at 60 at least. So this wasn't too long ago, honestly. But we were like, he's going to hit 61 at some point. But he's going to be stuck there and almost going to be content with it. He's going to say, I'm happy I'm tied. I'm happy I'm up there. Because he never lets the moment be on him, Aaron Judge. And that's where he is so Yankee captain-esque, frankly. And I'm going to say it because I think that's a valid thing to say at this point. Not just with what he's done talent-wise, but how he leads this team and his ego, his locker room presence, all that good stuff. But, yeah, game 161, he hits it. Which, like you said, people were throwing him balls that he didn't even have much of an opportunity to hit.
Well,
and then
Red
you wonder.
Sox was walking him over
Of course
and
they
over
were.
and over
Yeah.
again. It was putting me over the edge.
Yeah.
I was like, if he doesn't hit 62 because the Red Sox just couldn't let him have it.
No, it can't happen
Nope.
against the Sox, please.
Nope.
That's
Please.
the only thing they were fighting for this season.
I was hoping that he would break the record against the Red Sox, but
No.
Yeah, no, I was there on that Friday, and just to describe it to somebody who might not be from New York, I mean, it's unbelievable. It's maybe one of the best sports moments I've ever witnessed in my life. We were talking about this earlier, but the entire stadium stands, even opposing fans. And it was just unbelievable. It was something that everybody in that stadium was there together for. And the air was sucked out of the stadium every time the ball was pitched, and then it was just gasp of awe, after every time that he didn't get it. And then there was one time at the game that I was at where it went to the warning track, and that was just, it just took the life out of
Was
the
that the
stadium.
Sox game?
That was the Sox game on Friday, where it went to the warning track, and I thought that I was going to be there to see it, man. It was
the camera angle. I
Yeah,
remember
the
watching
camera angle, too.
all the way up. I was like, and I think that was to walk it off too. If you hit it, I'm pretty sure it was in
different game.
Oh,
Different game.
that was the game
But
when
I
he
was
was
there
stuck
for-
on.
I
He
was
was
there
stuck on
for-
59. that
Right,
game.
I think so.
And then the next game was 60.
No, I think he was at 60 on that Friday.
No.
No?
He was waiting.
It might have been just
He
60
didn't
then.
hit 60 until. Well, he didn't. 61 and 62 were both on the road.
Okay.
So he was stuck on 59.
yes, it was stuck
for
on
a while
it was
at
a
home.
long because that
The
was
whole
when I
home
was
I think it was
starting to get
13,
nervous.
13 games, right?
Yeah, the whole home stretch, he just couldn't do it.
Ugh.
And I think he needed, 60 was great. At least he got that one at home.
Right.
But I think he needed to get out of the Bronx to go and hit 61 and 62. The amount of pressure on him
yeah.
I
is
can't
still
even
there.
Imagine.
But
Yeah.
you leave your home stadium where, instead of 40,000, 45,000 people standing and cheering and waiting for you, you only have, maybe 10,000 that are there specifically as a Yankee fan.
Right.
Everyone's watching and hoping, but the pressure was
Yeah.
you don't experience anything like that, and that's how you know he's a gamer too, because he pulled it off.
No, I saw today he was saying, yeah, now everyone can actually sit and watch the game of baseball
Yeah,
because
right.
everyone's just been kind of distracted with his
Yeah.
chase for the record. I mean, I have never been more invested in an MLB season. I was not big on baseball before this season, but I've just been tuning in so much just to see him hit this record. And, I'm invested now. I'm invested, so it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it definitely was a lot of fun, and it was also, I feel a little, deviant as a Yankees fan, but it would have been kind of funny if he just didn't get it.
No.
I know it's a terrible thing to say, but I mean, I just
Messed
love
up, dude.
it.
That's
is messed
terrible.
up. It is messed up. I'm not a diehard Yankee fan, but it just was wild. At one point, it was just like, dude, is he even gonna do this? Like,
I was getting anxious.
I knew
I
it
was
was
getting
going to
really
happen.
anxious.
It was just the question of when. Like it was because of the expectation that, I mean, obviously he was the only one that put it on himself. The dude was mashing him left and right, where you expect, okay, I think he hit 57, 58, 59 in like a 3 to 5 game window, where that's just, again, you're not supposed to do that as a player. He was just basically hot all season. Right? He was I really wish he could have grabbed that Triple Crown. With the numbers he has right now, if he could have taken the Triple Crown, it's unreal. But 314 batting average with 62 home runs and over 140 RBIs. You don't see that too often, and you've never seen it in the AL at least. So that's something,
it's history.
I don't even want to bring up the MVP conversation because I don't think there should be a conversation anymore. But it's like what you said. It's history, and there's nothing that really compares to it.
Now, I stand sort of on the outside of the MLB when it comes to, big fans. I think you two can really embody that yourselves. But what exactly is this controversy with the whole Ohtani and Aaron Judge feud between who should be the AL MVP? Is this actually a conversation, or is this just, something that the media can say at the end of the season because they're getting kind of stale?
It has to be because, I mean, yeah, Shohei's phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. But he kind of did the same thing last season and won it rightfully so. But what Judge did this year is unprecedented. The Yankees are one of the best teams in baseball, which I think team success has to have some sort of value in MVP voting, and no matter what sport, it has to. And Shohei's been great on both sides of the ball. What he's doing has also not been seen in almost 100 years with a guy like Babe Ruth. But
right.
You don't know how that would transition. So they're both doing phenomenal things, but Aaron Judge's are just, you see something about him new every day. Sure, you see Shohei Ohtani hit a home run and strike out 8 guys. That's phenomenal. But Aaron Judge's record after record here with names that you don't hear so often anymore because they're the legends that have all these records set. So it is a big deal. I think it's a fair argument. Yeah, I'm biased, and I don't think Shohei should be in it this year, at least at this point. But yes, it's an argument I think Judge should win pretty easily.
There's another debate going around too, with if Judge is Judge the 62, is that the real single season home record?
It's not.
Because I know Barry Bonds has got 63, but there's the whole
73 for Barry
73,
Bonds.
73.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. There's a lot of debate going on because he was during the steroid era. So are people like, is this the real record, or is Judge now because he's clean? What are you guys thinking about that?
It's baseball. It's still the sport,
I guess
it was the. Okay, but if you look, this is the
you
thing.
can win the dunk contest wearing bungee shoes.
You look in the record book. Who has the most home runs of all time in the record book? It's Barry Bonds. If the MLB wanted it to not count, you take it away. It's real. It's real. You can debate if it's a valid thing. Yeah. I don't think it's. I want to say it's not valid, right? Like he was on steroids, but it's Barry Bonds. A, you never know, and B, it's still there. The number 73 is there. I don't think it's going to be beat because the steroid era is over. But it's there. It's there. And I that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame either, though, Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
So it's a, give and take a little bit. The real record's 73. I'm at least happy that Aaron Judge gets to hold his own, at least in the AL. 62, that's his. Can that be beat? Sure, maybe by him. Yeah. But that, at least I'm happy that's there. I think 73 is almost notoriously the top dog forever because it was Barry Bonds in that steroid era where people would rather walk in a run than face him and potentially give up a grand slam.
Yeah, because he was on steroids.
Yeah, but no one. That's the reality.
There's a fact that you need to look at right now. I brought this up earlier, but besides his 73 home run season, he never hit 50 in his career.
Yeah.
He never hit 50 in another season besides the one that he hit 73. So it makes me think.
That is interesting.
It's a little fishy. But also at the same time, I understand what you're saying, Nick.
It's just hard to say.
It's in the history book. You're right. But there's just something that takes the life out of it a little bit, But it puts the life in, That's when baseball was fun.
Yeah, no, it's fun to watch.
73 and then 49 was the
right.
Really?
Wild. He hit 49 the season before 73, and he was 36 years old when he hit 73.
36.
Barry Bonds.
Wow.
Interesting. I mean that I didn't know that part about the no 50.
Right.
I agree with you, but you can't just take it out of the record book. That's the
No.
Yeah.
unfortunate reality of the sport. Because if they did that, then you erase a year of the guy's career. He's not in the Hall of Fame. I think that's kind of his punishment for
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Not kind of, it is.
There's another element to it, too, that kind of takes it a little further. The fact that he's gambling and passed up a $213 million contract just to play for himself and take that risk of, not having a great season and then coming out here and hitting 62. I think that just makes it all the better.
Oh, yeah.
When you said
I just-
gambling, I was like, Aaron Judge
No,
isn't
no,
gambling.
no. I mean, he gambled on his,
Yes, on himself.
On himself. Which
And
is
good for him,
so
man.
admirable. Like,
No.
Good for him.
This is a message to the New York Yankees. Please pay this man. I can't see any more Twitter discourses of Mets fans claiming that Aaron Judge is going to join the Mets. I can't do it anymore. I need him to stay at the Yankees. But yes,
He's not going to the Mets.
Hey, he
I-
was
I
wearing a shirt the
refuse.
other day that said "loyal to New York" or something,
Yeah.
which didn't specify.
It's the New York Yankees. I think he wouldn't go to the.
If I see one more Judge Mets makeshift jersey,
No, no.
especially in Yankee Stadium, I might just
That's
lose
so
my mind.
petty and so
It's
stupid.
like it's not gonna happen. I
No.
really hope it doesn't
No.
happen.
No,
Yeah,
because
you
now
really
the
hope it
Yankees they have no choice in my opinion.
They need to keep
They used
him.
to have a choice.
They need
Yeah.
to keep
Now they have
him.
no choice. And if they,
If
I
they
mean,
let him
I don't even want to
go-
speak the words if they
We're
win.
not manifesting it. We're not manifesting.
But if they win, I have to say the words. If they win, and they don't bring him back, wow,
that'll
like,
be the dumbest.
there's no way they
choice.
could. And I think
Ever.
every fan would be even happier if they bring him back after they win because they at least got something.
Mhm.
You know, it's been many years, 13
Yeah.
seasons now. You get something out of it as the Yanks, you're happy.
No, definitely. And while I did mention the Mets very briefly, I think we kind of need to talk about
No. I was getting there.
where
Yeah.
the
That's cool. That's cool.
tragedy.
Yeah.
That is it's sad, but we need to talk about
It's
it.
just
Go
cla-
ahead, Taylor.
I don't
Bring
want
it
to say
away.
it's classic Mets, but I mean,
It is.
yeah, but so yeah, the Mets just completely collapsed against the Braves. There was absolutely no power in their offense whatsoever. So due to that series dump, I don't even know how to describe it. So the Braves close out their 5th straight divisional title, even though the Mets led the division for 175 days, held a 10.5 game lead literally on June 1st, and they still dropped the NL East. I'm bummed out for Mets fans. I won't lie. I do enjoy watching the Mets to a degree, so I kind of stung to see that they lost it, but I just don't understand why this just keeps happening with them.
I want to, it is a Mets. It's a classic Mets, but I don't want to take away too much credit from them because the Atlanta Braves
They are a good team.
are a phenomenal team. I think they're a better team than the Mets, which is why they ended up winning the division. But they did their part to catch up. The Mets, yeah, they could have defended it a little better, but the Braves didn't lose. They didn't lose games, and that's where eventually it's going to catch up to you if you're the Mets and you don't play your best baseball. The Braves are phenomenal. They were phenomenal, and, it came down to that last series. All the Mets had to do is not get swept, and they get swept. So that's them
That was-
pulling the classic Mets, I think. The 10.5 games, yeah, it's a lot, but it's a hard, I guess, blame on them when you take away everything they did this season. 100 wins for the Mets. I think
Yeah.
it's their 4th time in franchise history, which is a
Good for them.
spectacular feat. And they get their playoff series, the entirety of it, I believe, is the rule, at home. And they really have a selection of frankly, aces at their disposal for this series against the Padres. So they get out of this wild card. I think anything can happen for them as long as they're healthy and ready to go.
No, for sure. It's nice to see that one New York team reached 100 wins this season.
Yeah, man.
I was bummed to see the Yankees just miss out, but I mean,
Close.
I will bring this up too. I thought it was really when they lost yesterday. Their record was 99-62. Aaron Judge 99 hits 62. I felt like it was very
With that,
fitting.
right? Yeah.
Very fitting. So
That's
they
amazing.
lost for a reason. I don't know, but
That is amazing.
No,
Isn't
see,
that
that's where I'm
crazy?
okay with it.
I haven't
I was
seen
like
that.
okay with that one loss.
Poetic.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
literally. Nothing like baseball. But yeah, so basically 4C Mets are playing in the wild card round against the 5 seed Padres. I think it's a bit of a relief that they are playing at Citi Field.
Mhm.
We'll just have to see who I have faith in the Mets. I feel like they could pull this off.
Now the new wild card, it's all the games are at one stadium.
All 3 at Citi Field
Okay,
for the Mets.
interesting.
That's where at least they're lucky that they're the top
Yeah.
dog of the wild
Yeah.
card.
So
And
do you
I've
see
heard-
them going anywhere?
I feel like they could pull it off against the Padres. If they can keep this hot streak going, because they looked really good against the Nationals.
Okay.
And Scherzer is starting this weekend, not DeGrom, so it'll be interesting to see. I think hopefully just missing out on the NL East will light a little bit of a fire under their butts to get
Should.
moving. I want to see them do well. but the winner's gonna play the Dodgers.
Oof. Yeah.
I see now. I don't know how much farther they're gonna make it past the Dodgers.
Hey, I mean, the Braves made it last year and they beat the Dodgers.
Yeah.
If they get there,
And they were the worst.
like if they get there, it's the Braves were a miracle story last
Yeah.
year. I don't think the Mets are in that category, but
Yeah.
the
No
the
more
real
miracle
thing that's
Mets.
cool. So you said DeGrom isn't going, and I was told from, I mean, I guess it's their strategy. I don't know if it's exactly true or not, but DeGrom won't go game 1. Scherzer will be game 1. If they win game 1, then they go with Bassett in game
Oh.
2, and then if they lose that game, they go with DeGrom game 3 to close it out.
All right, that's interesting.
Or maybe they don't even have to use DeGrom if they sweep,
Yeah.
and then they wait until game 1 against the Dodgers. So the goal, I guess, for the Mets would be ultimately save Jacob DeGrom until the NLDS. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Padres are too good for a sweep.
Yeah.
That's the worst wild card team to run into for sure for the Mets.
Yeah.
Padres can be dangerous.
Who's on the bump for the Dreys?
Ooh, I don't know in there.
They
I
got
mean, you'll know Darvish
right?
will be
Yeah.
out there. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Musgrove goes too.
Right.
At least in one of those 3 games. I also think it's going to go to 3 games, but
Interesting.
the fact that all 3 are in Citi Field is a huge help for them because even a Subway Series game at Citi Field, you got to give credit. A lot of games at Citi Field are really, really loud. They're
Yeah.
electric atmospheres. So
Trumpets.
Haven't been to Citi Field yet. I really want to get out there.
yeah,
I know. I've only been pretty much Yankee.
it's a cool. I went to the Subway Series and it's a very cool. You hear it from both sides, of course, at any Subway Series game. But Mets fans are loud. You got to give it to them. They are very loud and vocal. They say what they want. They say what they believe. So do Yankees fans. I think that's a New York thing. But
Oh yeah, Yankees fans are a little scary.
I'm
Proud to be one of them.
Oh yeah. But I think with the Mets, it's kind of cool that I guess the Mets go first in a way, and then hopefully you see both Yankees and Mets in action. But I think that point that I made with the DeGrom debacle and scenario, I think is honestly a pretty smart thing that they're doing because it's not like you're losing anything by starting Scherzer first in game 1.
Right.
Max Scherzer is, come on, those you could argue those are the top 2 pitchers in baseball if you want. You can. I don't think it is, but you can argue
You
that.
can
So
argue it, yeah.
no matter who you got going between those 2, you're happy. And then Bassett has been very solid for them, and to kind of use him as a cushion, hopefully you can win game 2 and then maybe not need DeGrom in game 3. But you use DeGrom game 3, you should be pretty happy that that's where you get to go as the Mets. Rely on him for that one big win, move on.
Now, see, the flip side of this entire thing is the fact that Jacob DeGrom hasn't been pitching too well towards the latter
I think
part
that's
of the
why
season.
they're waiting too.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
something's up, right?
Mhm.
Like maybe
Yeah.
he's
A
come
little
back from
funk or
injury.
tweak,
Yeah.
right? And you save
Yeah.
him a few more days, and then he's healthier. Maybe he's just fresher as a whole and can get
Yeah.
going to this. When he pitches
Yeah.
right,
Oh my.
it's not
goodness. It's
often,
a
but when
treat.
he does, he is the best pitcher in baseball when he's at his best.
I
Right.
think what
But
they
that's
got to
a big
do,
if.
they got to keep him behind, keep him off the field, get him fresh.
Mhm.
When they need him, throw him in.
And that's
think
why I
that's
like the
best
approach of saving
That
him
is
until.
That's smart.
honestly.
That's smart.
Apparently, Buck Showalter did this with the Yankees when he was there, long before, not too long before we were born, but I was unaware of it. But apparently, he kind of
Pettit
did.
and-
I don't think. No, Pettit
that
wasn't
era?
in the rotation yet. I couldn't name those guys on those
Yeah.
mid early '90s teams.
And they weren't great, right?
No, they were sneaky. I think it was the '95.
I think 95 when
It was the
when-
'95 ALDS. I want to say versus the Mariners where he did that. I couldn't tell you which pitchers he threw in which
Yeah.
game. Maybe David Cohn went game 2 instead of game 1 or something like that. But same approach from Buck, just different New York team, which is very cool to see.
All right, that'll do it just about for our MLB section of the show. Thank you so much, Taylor, for joining us. Are you coming back for the mixed bag or what?
Oh yes, I'm
Oh,
coming back
yeah.
for mixed bag.
I love to hear
I'm
that.
not missing that. No
And Nick,
way.
Nick, you're not leaving, right?
I got nowhere to be.
Thank God. All right, great. Well, we'll all be back with you in about 2 minutes. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
What's going on, guys? Bridge Gotham here, your New York Giants beat reporter for WFUV Sports. Be on the lookout for weekly reports and game recaps on WFUV's YouTube channel. We'll be covering the action all season long. Feel free to follow me on Twitter at BGBridge for updates throughout the games. For all things Big Blue, stay tuned all season long.
Welcome back to One on One Nightly. I'm here with Nick Fada and Taylor Macetta as always, and we got Brian Raybacks back there hanging, controlling the board, and he happened to write some cool mixed bag questions for us to answer, and I'm so excited and a little bit scared, to be honest, because I don't know. He's got that evil eye in his evil look in his eye back there. But I think we should begin, shouldn't we?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Cool. All right. I'm gonna draw the first one, and then Taylor, you'll do the second.
All right.
Nick, you know how it goes. All right. Would you rather take a guaranteed $1 million or flip a coin for a chance at $1 billion?
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
That's insane.
No, you know what? I'd take the million. I'm not risking nothing.
Yeah, that's true. I'll take the million too. I'm gonna go. I'll put that money into real estate.
I'll go against you guys then. Why not?
Okay.
Because then when I flip the coin and tails never fails, and I'm a billionaire,
What if Tails
what if
does
it
fail?
does?
tails
fail.
never fails. Tails never fails.
I don't know.
I actually can't remember the last time tails has failed me. So,
We
well, I
should
lost the round.
See, I
on
wish
that
I had a
part,
coin
but
of.
If you
That
did,
would-
if
oh,
you did,
man,
I'd be pretty nervous
That
because
would
then
be
I would
sick.
have to
All right.
live by my word. But what we got next? No.
Me and Brian were arguing about this earlier this week. Rank every Starburst flavor from best to worst.
Oh, everyone.
He's smiling back there.
I don't even know if I can name everyone.
This man said that yellow was the best one.
That's
and
disgusting.
yeah, thank you. That's
That's
exactly
so
what I
wrong.
said. Okay, so pink is an obvious number one.
Okay.
Then red.
Yeah.
Then orange. Then yellow.
Are there more flavors, or is that
I
it?
think we should.
Like, we're just sticking with the
We're
basics.
sticking with the basics.
Yeah.
Although I do like the Fave Reds ones.
See, I'm not a huge like sweet chewy candy guys. I go chocolate over that.
Okay, yeah, fair.
So I guess, but I agree with that. Like, if you hand me a yellow Starburst, I'll be like, no thanks.
That's not the one.
I think you could argue pink is the best, but you could interchange red as well, just because I feel like most red sweet candies are just always like a top competitor.
solid, yeah.
They fight.
Top
Or
tier.
Is there blue?
There's no
I've
blue.
I've actually
There's
never
no
had
blue
one.
Which is
Starburst.
I've
surprising.
never had a Starburst.
but-
You've never had a Starburst?
That's
No.
crazy.
Yeah.
I just don't like
what?
having to chew for so long.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
I'm
like a weird.
I get
I've had
so
high
sick of
chew.
Wait,
They're
all right, so
similar.
we're getting
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Starburst after the show's done. How have
Cool.
you never had one?
You know,
I only ate them as a kid when they were
growing
around.
up in New York.
Oh my
no,
God.
I don't buy
Guys,
'em,
I
like,
get
ever.
them all the time.
No, that's not me.
And,
Yeah.
like Best has the Faves Red.
They have all the
pack.
crazy
They're
ones,
So
yeah.
good. Like I
Which
get them all.
Those
the-
are like turquoise and neon, whatever colors.
Yeah.
But
we gotta find blue Starburst now.
no, that's a
feel like we
different.
can.
That's a different one. All right, let me see. Let me go in on this guy. Come on, Jeff O'Neal.
What does that even mean?
You want to go ahead, Will? I'm sitting
Yo,
here waiting,
this
man.
Is like, this
Go
is
ahead.
Torture. Yo, Pat should have never been on this job.
I'm ready to rip this guy
Yeah,
up.
this guy. I mean,
What
I
do you-
don't know.
I'm so confused.
So,
Give me
Jeff-
a little story, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't
all
know.
right. Story time. I guess we'll do a little story
I'm
time
lost.
with mixed bag.
Oh.
Don't be doing that.
Now I know.
But over the summer, I was working for a media company, and I went.
Oh my God, I saw this.
Yeah. So I.
Oh, you are. Yeah, I was ready to text you, and I was like, you know what? He probably got so many texts
Just
clowning
saying
him
Jeff
about it.
O'Neal because I didn't even know that my boss texted. That video was probably from 2 weeks prior, and
Oh,
my
yeah.
boss was like, "Holy shit,
Jeff O'Neal, I remember seeing it.
How can I not do it?"
I
you know?
literally showed it to all my
And-
friends at home. Like, look at this kid. I know this kid.
Yeah.
Look at him. He messed it
that
up.
was the worst thing ever.
Oh
It's
man.
terrible.
And he called you out too. He was like, McNeil, get the name right.
Yeah. No. Yeah. He's like, you can't even get the name right.
Yeah.
But
that was, oh my God.
yeah. And then, but it happened like 3 weeks earlier or something, and then I just like
No
start getting
idea.
like 5 texts, and I'm
Yeah.
like Jeff O'Neal, and I'm like, because I'm not logged onto the TikTok, like I don't have the notifications
Every
but I
time,
mean-
yeah.
Oh my God!
So-
So they posted it. You
So,
didn't know?
my boss posted it, and I didn't know for an hour I
Oh,
was getting
boy.
Jeff O'Neal texts. And I'm like, what is going on right now?
That
Who's-
is that's cruel.
And you know how dumb I am. I go, what are people talking about, Jeff McNeil? Because
Yeah.
I forgot.
Jeff McNeil, guys.
Yeah.
It's Jeff McNeil.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
don't, what are you guys saying? And
Yeah.
then you find out you say it.
Yeah.
I
Went
do. I'm
viral.
happy I pulled that one now.
No,
'cause
I'm-
that
I
is a
am too.
memory
That was-
unlocked again.
That was funny, but everybody in this program knew about it. Every time, like that face that you just like go,
Yeah.
oh yes.
I was like, I was drawing a blank. I was like, is that Paul O'Neill?
I was like, who?
The old Yank, but no. Jeff McNeil. I don't even know. I don't think I could say Jeff O'Neal if I tried when I would talk about Jeff McNeil.
Oh man, you guys are terrible.
That's
Like I said,
hilarious.
I'm not a baseball guy.
I love it.
I'm sorry, but
I
next
love it.
question, we're gonna move on from that horrid subject. Pat, you are going to get a stern talking to in the back. What's your favorite movie that everyone hates?
Whoa.
Oh, I got a good one. I got a good
Okay,
one.
great. We'll start
I feel like I've gotten mixed reviews, but the Bee Movie. The Bee movie slaps, and I hate when people are like hating on it. They're like, oh, the bee fell in love with the woman. Yes, I know that's really weird, but it's also really
It's supposed to be.
it's a funny movie.
Yeah.
I've liked it since I was
Jerry
5.
Seinfeld, that
Jerry
would be.
Seinfeld.
Unrealistic. No, I'm kidding.
I can literally quote the first like couple lines.
No, that I
like,
can't. That's
ugh.
crazy. I don't know. I don't think I necessarily enjoy movies people hate. I'm also huge into specific sagas of movies. So like if I'm gonna go really into like Star Wars, I love Episode 1 and 2 just because they're like childhood for me. But you'll talk to any person over the age of 30 and they'll bash you for that take. I'll stand by it the whole time. I love those ones. That's that for me. I don't know. I don't think they're necessarily bad movies. They're not the best Star Wars movies, but the hate that they receive from at least the Star Wars fandom that I've seen is not ideal. So that's mine. I would say at least the prequels as a whole, you could even argue.
I will say
Underappreciated.
I prefer the prequels over the sequels.
Oh, yeah.
I thought The
That's
Rise
not
of
it.
Skywalker
That's-
was the biggest letdown of a movie.
That is unquestioned. Yes.
Oh, so
Yes.
bad.
I won't go more. I could do a whole show by myself for the hour and a half that we have. But go ahead, Will. What's yours?
This is kind of like a weird take, sort of, but I mean, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood didn't get as great reviews as I thought that it was because it's probably my favorite movie of all time.
I
and
still haven't seen it.
I've
It's
never.
good.
Yeah, you should
Okay.
really watch it. I mean, that's kind of the response.
I
get.
have
like
heard mixed
it.
things. Right?
It's good, but it's like I was.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This is the best movie I've ever seen in my life. And then also the Hustle movie by Adam Sandler, which a lot
Oh,
of
I
people were
love
trashing.
that
It was
one.
really,
Oh, I
really
love
good.
I haven't seen that.
I heard from my
A little
friend.
slow at times, but I loved it.
My
Yeah.
friends were like, "Oh, that's so corny. I heard it's awful." And I was
No.
like, "Let me see."
Might be
and I
Adam
was like,
Sandler's.
"This is awesome." Like,
That's Adam Sandler's best role that doesn't see him being a doof.
yes, exactly.
And
It's a real serious movie too, and I
yeah.
really like it.
Uncut Gems actually might be up there too
man,
for him.
that's a great
Those
I've
two
heard
movies.
That's such a good movie.
Yeah, those two movies
it's
are Adam
unbelievable.
Sandler.
Oh, now I
Taylor,
gotta watch.
you gotta
See,
see
now I
that.
gotta watch
At his
that
acting
tonight.
peak. Those are his best.
All right, let's move on. More likely ring on Tom Brady's finger at the end of the year, Super Bowl ring or his marriage.
Oh.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that was someone like they spelled ring like a. I don't even know what that is, but yeah. So, is there gonna be a ring on Tom Brady's finger, or his finger? Well, that doesn't make sense.
I don't think there's going to be a ring.
No,
on
is there
that.
gonna- yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think.
yeah.
I don't think there will
You know-
be any sort of ring.
Yes, any sort of ring.
Which pains me because I love Tom Brady, but there's no way either. I do not see the Bucks
Unless he
winning the Super
retires
Bowl.
right now,
I
he'll maybe have a wedding ring.
This
back.
man
Yeah,
needs to
that's a
choose
great
family
answer.
over football for once because the Bucks are not doing too well. Do not throw away your fam.
Hey,
Like,
come on, the NFC.
I'm a
East is- or the
disappointed
NFC is wide
Patriots
open.
fan right here. Like,
Oh,
That's
Pats,
fair.
Please
yeah.
swing that hat over, huh?
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
I
you
forgot.
hog. Here, Taylor. go
Sorry,
ahead.
jeez, Nick. I honestly just forgot.
Uh-oh.
Oh. If you could erase one sports event from history, what would it be?
Wow.
I got
Okay,
mine.
mine's a little
a
niche.
Crazy question.
I think, okay, so I was watching, I'm pretty sure it was like the World Championships for track, and it was Usain Bolt's last race ever, and he pulled his hamstring, and I remember I literally started crying.
Oh, I actually remember hearing that.
And
yeah.
I love Usain
Man
Bolt.
didn't lose.
Yeah, that man, oh my God. He literally had to get carried off the track for the last one, and it was just devastating to watch. So if that could just never happen again, that would be pretty great. So.
I think as far as like my personal what I've witnessed at least, like there's a lot of Yankee moments from the past that I could say, but I just wasn't old enough to even know what was going on. But I guess, oh boy, not that it probably would have done much for the Giants that season, but I wish the Miami boat trip they took never happened. I think that's probably been
That's
said by so
amazing.
many people. That, and also I guess just as a fan of football, it was cool to see the 28-3 come back, but I didn't need that for Brady. I didn't need that.
No, it was great.
I
That
also
was
thought the
best
Falcons-
day ever.
The Falcons were such like a wholesome team that year. I really thought they deserved it.
That was MVP year by
Matt Ryan.
too.
I remember
Wait.
wishing
Yeah.
too when it was
That would've been so
28-3.
nice.
Like
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was that the year that Travis Scott did the Super Bowl and it was like the biggest letdown ever?
no, that was Lady Gaga.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
but
Lady Gaga that
He
year.
did
Yeah.
the Super Bowl.
He
he-
did at some maybe it was I don't know. I don't know how I remember that was Lady Gaga, but I remember saying in that game like, "Oh, I hope it's 23. At least won a game though, make it a game." I wish I never said that cuz it was a game all right. So, one of those two. As a
Comeback
fan
of
the
the
Giants
century.
as a whole 28-3 game.
Yeah. For me, probably nothing to do with the Giants, just because like I've been into them the past like 5-6 years, and it's like
Nothing
I mean,
at all,
obviously, yeah, there's
right?
like nothing really
Yeah.
like that was close. I mean, obviously, I would be saying like that Brady experience if I were on the other side of that 2007 and 11, kind of thing. But probably, honestly, like 2 years ago with the Knicks and Trae Young was just like, that just like ripped my heart out. I was
we
like,
could just delete game 1 and redo it.
Yeah. I was just like, man, like what?
I think we lost
were
the
the
series
seed.
after we lost that.
That
game.
was it. And
we had to win 2.
I think that's how everybody felt. Yeah.
Oh, that was jeez.
Yeah. I mean,
bad.
that was a really bad one.
That was not fair.
Yeah.
But whatever. All right. We only got a few left, which is.
And I think we only have a few.
We got
minutes.
5 minutes.
Few minutes. Pickles, love or hate?
Oh.
I'm a
hate,
big.
hate.
Jeez.
I'm sorry. I don't
'em.
like them.
All right. I like that. I'm the only one. I love them. But
Guys.
only in certain scenarios. Like, you got to give, like, a club. I don't eat them, like, I don't chomp on a pickle itself.
Right.
Put pickles on a burger. Put pickles on, I guess, like, some sort of sandwich ideal. I love the crunch of a pickle. I'm never just going to, like, people who grab pickles like this are,
that's a little
I think,
bit.
a different animal. But
I'm coming around to like keeping it on my McDonald's burger.
I think on a
Sometimes I'll-
fast food burger,
Sometimes I
you
bite
need
into
'em.
it and I'm like,
Yeah, you need
it's
them.
not terrible.
On a
It's
fast
not
food
that
burger,
bad.
pickles are
Guys.
really, really
And
good.
the onions, I'm totally sold on them now for the McDonald's.
Onions are another conversation.
Yeah, okay. Fair.
I had my first ever pickle last year and I literally almost puked.
Yeah,
I
don't
Although
like them.
it was also from Panera.
Well, yeah, you
So
might have just gotten
maybe
a
I need a
couldn't
better
tell you.
pickle.
iffy pickle.
But I just, I like cucumbers, but no, pickles are gross.
Right, I love cucumbers. They're
I
very
like
good.
a
I
pickle over a
love
cucumber.
cucumbers.
No, pickles
Salty
are
all
like
day.
cucumbers,
No,
like
no.
In salt water,
friend,
basically.
like cousin from like
Yeah.
the south.
Oh God.
I would.
Oh.
I
I
love
could
a
go
good
on
pickle.
about how much I hate pickles for a really long time. Ooh.
All right. Favorite Aaron Judge moment?
Oh.
Probably the other night, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a huge Yankee fan. so-
Well, I saw Homer 54 in Yankee
Okay.
Stadium,
Cool.
and when I tell you, I started screaming so loud. My roommates were with me, and they were like, "What is wrong with her?"
Yeah,
but I
your
was like,
voice.
"Oh my God!" It highlight like I was like excited to see it in person. So yeah, I'm a little biased on there. So
Shoot, this is hard. There's a lot, but there's also, Oh, you know what? I was at the game. I want to say it was against. I think it was against the Rangers, if I'm right. Which is now I hate when my memory fails me like this. I think it was his first walk off. Oh no! Sorry, it was against the Royals. It wasn't his first walk off. They won the game 1-0 against the Royals off an Aaron Judge walk off home run in the 9th.
oh,
But that was like one of his first.
It was
walk-off
one of
home
his
runs,
first
too,
ones,
which was unbelievable.
Not only of his
because-
career, but like one of his. I think it was like his third of the season, third or
Okay.
fourth of the season. But he did that. I was very angry the whole game. I'm like, we suck. Yeah, they're not gonna hit the stupid Kansas City Royals. We're gonna lose in the top of the 10th off a stupid base hit that gets a runner in, and then he just see ya. So that to me,
that's a
I'm
great
just
way to
like
sum it
that. That encapsulated the MVP season for him, where the game was won by pitching, but also
Yeah.
Aaron Judge.
All right, I think we
Very
have time
nice.
for
we'll
one
do
more
one more
really
quick one.
quick.
Very quick.
All right.
very quick.
What do we got?
Look at
All right,
Rayback's
last
face
TV
back
show you
there.
absolutely binged. I binged BoJack Horseman in like a week and a half, so
Wow.
that's probably mine.
Better Call Saul. Still, I'm on the last 3 episodes. Right when I get home, that's my agenda. So.
Nice. Designated Survivor.
Oh.
Oh, I've heard of that.
But
Nice.
right now I'm like trying to get into the Dahmer thing. But it's a little,
It's so
a little-
creepy.
little
No.
crazy.
Weird note to end on.
I-
Let's get
Yeah,
away
sorry.
from that.
Oh, God.
Good talk though with this mixed bag. You gotta love it.
Yeah, that was good. That was
I
good
love
mixed
mixed
Very
bag.
fun. I think we could, wrap it up now. We've had a great show so far. Nick, Taylor, thank you so much. Brian Rayback's in the back. Thank you so much. Pat Amaturo, we're going to have a talk later, but thanks so much. Ryan Gregware, sports manager. Bobby Chaffardini, our sports director. We couldn't have done it without all of you helping hands. Thanks so much. And everybody have a great night. And let's go Yankees.
Yeah.